God is not a superhero. And this is what I mean by that. A lot of times, man, we tend to be living outside of God's will, living outside of God's instruction. And when things get really bad for us, we tend to call on Him and seek Him. And sometimes He get us out of it. Sometimes He don't. We all done did it before. I've done it before plenty of times. But that's not the relationship that you should have with God because He's not a superhero. A lot of times, man, I can only speak for myself. God will step into your life and you'll follow His direction after you get yourself into some mess. And then once you get some comfort, once you get some security, once you feel the blessings coming from you being obedient, we tend to go back to our old habits and the things that got us back into the mess that God brought us out of. Because we got some comfort, because we got a little bit um, of a blessing. See, the love for God is like you turning a valve on a water pump. The more you turn it, the more water flows. But a lot of times, man, we like to turn the valve just to get a little bit of flow and then stop right there and go on our own. Like we trying to fill a bucket up. And a lot of times, the filling of our bucket, which is, you know, another way to put like the blessings in our life, they take longer to come because we're not turning the valve so the water can flow out abundantly. Whatever we do and whatever we achieve and obtain outside of God's will, we have to remain outside of God's will to sustain and maintain it. Whatever we do inside of God's will, we have to stay and remain inside of God's will for it to continue to flourish. What's my point? What do I mean? One of the devil's biggest um one of the devil's biggest goals is to get us to operate outside of God's will and outside of God's direction. Because once we do that, we're moving in disobedience and we're moving as the creator, not as the creature. Yes, we create our own realities, but God is really the big. He's the big man behind all things, making all things possible, allowing all things to fall into place simultaneously to work for the better of His kingdom. I'm finding myself dealing with lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. The season that I'm in right now, my waiting season, one of the biggest things I'm dealing with right now is the pride of life. My pride in trusting my own intuition and trusting my own abilities to make the things that I want for myself come to fruition. When in reality, I gotta submit my abilities to God because He the one who gave me the abilities in the first place. Yeah, I got lust of the flesh. Yes, I got lust of the eyes. Yeah, we all do. But me coming from playing pro ball and playing sports my whole life, I have a huge pride in my own abilities. Pride of life. I'm trying to kill that. I'm trying to kill my lust of the flesh. I'm trying to squeeze that out my body. I'm trying to kill the lust of my eyes. I'm trying to squeeze it out my body. I'm trying to submit my pride of life and give all of my direction to God. Now I'm not saying I come to God about every street that I make a left or a right on, or what meal I eat, or what places that I choose to go to sometime. I'm talking about submitting my own intuition and intellectual um, approach to decisions that I make that shape my life. Because we live in a world where we can be easily swayed. And the devil's main objective is to get us to operate outside of God's will, because once we operate outside of God's will, we tend to think that we're operating within our own will, but we're just being influenced by the things that we see.